This is the Ben Herman Show.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Ben Herman Show. And as you can tell, if you've been following this podcast for some time, you may recognize this guy. This guy right here is the leader of our entertainment companies, because now we have two of them since the last episode. We have one in Northern California and also in Southern California. None other than Mr. JJ Richards. What's up, man?
What's up, man?
How's it going?
Great. How you doing?
It's so cool to be in person, man, and just be able to catch up, because we share phone conversations all the time, right? Like at least once a week, it seems like, unless like I'm busy or you're busy. Sometimes we push off our call. But it's so cool to be back here in the building and the community as well. But I'm kind of curious to find out, like, what have been some things that you've been working on behind the scenes that, since the last time we recorded a podcast episode?
Yeah, so last time, I don't remember if we were talking about expansion, I think, last time.
We were, yeah.
But we weren't thinking that we were going to expand to where we were. We were talking about expanding a lot closer to home, and we decided that we ended up expanding to the opposite side of the state, to San Diego, and we're like an hour north of the Oregon border. That's one thing that has been a huge endeavor to take on and manage and navigate. And then also, we've been really working on trying to, because my time has become much more valuable, because now I'm trying to grow two companies. We've been trying to figure out, like, okay, so if I can't talk to prospects, and I think we were working on this before, but if I can't talk to prospects, how can they interact with us? Before we tried it with, we called it, it was a video consultation. So we had an actor, would happen to be your wife, get on the video and talk to our prospects and let them know, again, of our services and the value that we create, you know? But what we realized is that we're kind of constantly updating things. We're kind of have new things to offer. And so to hire an actor to stay up to date with everything that we offer as it changes would be costly and not so time effective. So how can we use all these changes in technology to our benefit? What we've been working on, or what I've been working on a lot, is creating an AI consultation. It's amazing because the technology, whenever I think of AI, I kind of think of that max headroom, like, just like a open and closed mouth. And the crazy thing is I've tested it with a lot of our team members and with people even outside, and I've played this video for people, and people don't know that it's not a human, which is freaky in one way, but
really incredible too, right?
It's also really beneficial, because I literally have a script that I put in, and the AI can read our script, So it's amazing, and so that's what I've been working on hard, so that people, if they don't want to speak to a human, they can at least get all the information and make a good buying decision. Again, we've told the people, just had our prices before, and it didn't work, so we always have to kind of explain what value.
The value first, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I think like where we came from was really, we started off just with a phone consultation, right? Where it was just like human to human, our team talking to the leads and then trying to get them to understand the value that we could provide with the investment that's attached, and then they would go through the booking process, right? And so then we asked ourselves, especially with technology advances, also the investment in ProfitFlo, we're now having this software that we have control over that we can actually do some really cool things with. And so we came out with the on-demand consultation, because it was like still, my wife was actually the initial actor. Shout out to my wife for being beautiful and awesome. And then we ran into the roadblocks of anytime that we wanted to update pricing information, or if we added some sort of new piece of equipment or new enhancement to our portfolio, then we'd have to have her re-record pretty much the entire thing to make it seem smooth and so forth, right? Because like her hair might change or makeup might change and that kind of stuff. So to have a consistent look, that was really challenging. So then like we started exploring with AI, utilizing AI avatars that has like video generated AI with a interactive video player as well. And that's been really incredible because like JJ mentioned, right, he's run it by other people and they couldn't even tell that it was not a real human, that that it was not AI. They thought it was a real human. And so we decided to now update the name from like an on-demand consultation to an AI consultation because essentially that's what it is, right? Which is really cool. And I think we're like really close. What would you say, like 90% of the way there?
Yeah. We just have some, there's some tweaks that you have to do because the AI isn't perfect. So, and you want it to be, you don't want people to be put off by seeing realizing, oh my gosh, there's a computer talking to me. So we just have to massage it a little bit and then it'll be ready to roll out. The great thing is we already got feedback from the on-demand consultation that it has helped people make purchasing decisions. So, they would watch it, they would find out about our services, and then they would either buy or they would call us with, hey, I just have a couple questions.
And with credit card in hand almost,
with credit card in hand.
Yeah.
So it makes our job so much easier, which is an amazing thing that, because there's so many people who are sales averse. They're scared to get on the phone and talk about their product. Having this thing that does a great job of doing that for you will have a lot of people and does a great job every single time. Because that was another thing is like we'd hire people and sometimes they would be good and other times they wouldn't be so good, and so having this thing that just is awesome every time.
It's consistent, right?
It's consistent.
Yeah.
And also there's so much that you can do extra. With a phone call, I'm trying to explain everything with my words.
Yeah, like paint a word picture, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. But they have to imagine what you're talking about.
They have to imagine what I'm talking about, and if they have kids or any distractions, then some of what I'm explaining might kind of go over their head. While with an AI consultation or an on-demand consultation, we can use the magic of actual videos and pictures to kind of show exactly what we're talking about. Which is it's really powerful.
It's not even pictures, it's like motion video, right? So like as we're talking about lighting or the interactive photo booth, right? Like we can actually show off within that consultation people enjoying the photo booth, right? Or the scene that a upline can create for clients as well. Yeah. And then the other thing I think that it's really helped with, like you mentioned, was the consultation really educates the prospect beforehand, so AKA a lead, right? Where they're so warmed up by the time that they actually talk to us, right? We've had some people actually self-book where they didn't even need to talk to us, right? But then I would say a majority are still wanting to find out just reiterating questions?
Either reiterating or small massages, for example, like, hey, I want to just get some clarification on like how long this service adds, or the service is for, and if we need to pay for some extra time or not. And so those are really simple questions to answer. And they're already ready. We were ready to purchase. We just had these couple of questions to ask, and literally 1 or 2 questions, and then they're ready.
Which is super powerful, right? Because before that, really all the weight was on that person that was conducting the consultation, right? And like you mentioned, because some team members, they may not have followed our process or our system to the T, and because of that, they may have lost some deals and some bookings because of it, right? So that would hurt the company, but also hurts them as well, right? Their confidence and so forth. We don't really pay folks by commission here for sales, so that way we don't actually have like pushy salespeople because we don't like that at all. We actually like to sell by serving. That's really what we the motto that we try to utilize. The other thing also I think that's really powerful that's given us an ability to is we have faster turnaround times with testing. So we love testing back behind the scenes. A lot of split testing of like, okay, if we say this word versus this word, or the way that we deliver the messaging, if we change that, does that actually have a positive influence in the results that we could essentially receive, right? With my wife, it was challenging because like she'd have to come back in the studio then re-record, right? Versus JJ can literally just go in, adjust the script, and boom, regenerate the AI, and just like that, it's ready to go. Which is really cool.
Yeah, and there's so many things we don't know. We're taking educated guesses. So everything from, is this the avatar that works best, for delivering this message. So maybe we can A/B test the actual avatar. You know, we can A/B test every single part of the thing. So hopefully that will have a really powerful product that educates and convinces the lead that we're a good choice if we're a good fit, you know, with them. So I do see some people, because just like all new technology, if you remember, now we're in 2023, when the internet first came out, nobody wanted to give any of these businesses with the internet their credit card, you know? And now we were just talking before the camera came on that you know, most people are like staying at home on Black Friday and spending it, you know, wanting to make their purchases at home. So these are the things that over time I think people will become more comfortable with. But there's usually a lot of speculation at the beginning, but we tend to be early adopters here just because we're trying to push not only our company forward, but the industry in general forward.
Absolutely, so, And then, as you know, as we mentioned, we love to test around here. So how long have we been doing this on-demand consultation, like as a test?
The on-demand consultation, we rolled it out pretty much almost a year ago. In the last 2 to 3 months, we've been starting to work on transforming to the AI consultation, because in that time we realized, wait, we need to tweak some of this stuff. We have, you know, and Melissa or any actor, you know, it can be really costly to reshoot the whole thing over and over and over and over and over again.
I mean, even like behind the scenes, we had to set up lighting. I mean, even for this, you know, production, we have a ton of lights and, you know, setting up the scenes, making sure the camera gear is properly set up, the audio is properly set up, and so forth, right? There's a ton of labor and work that's involved with that as well. Versus like with AI, it's just like you can just again adjust the script and boom, just like that, the avatar can just match the words at that point, right? Since we've been testing the on-demand consultation in the last year, we have found like positive results already, right? Which is really great. But this AI consultation, I think, is going to really kind of boost those results because we can split test so many more options at a quicker pace, and also adjust based off the information that we find from the data, right?
Exactly.
Super exciting stuff, man. I'm really excited. Like, we're literally, I mean, what, a week or a couple weeks away from like launching the new AI consultation concept?
Again, we're just trying to roll out just a few little more bugs, and then we're ready to launch it. And then because we just need to now see the data, and then we can work with the data, and we can test everything from every single sentence. You know, we can A/B test it and see which works better, because that's how you get your message more clear, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to change gears real quick, because we also talked about expanding our company, right? So we didn't just move from Northern California to Southern California. We expanded from Northern California to Southern California, right? And initially we were thinking about starting up a whole new unit, because we would just literally just copy and paste our systems and the way that we do things in a new location, right? A big shout out to my mentor, actually. He's actually a private equity guy. And he had mentioned that, you know, startups are really tough because, yeah, even though you might have the winning formulas, you can't build a reputation faster. Like, to build a reputation and trust with the marketplace or that, you know, specific town, city, or, you know, county, it takes time for people to, you know, really buy into the brand or build trust with that brand, right? Versus expansion through acquisitions, which is acquiring other companies that they've already pre-established their brand, their reputation in that community, and so forth. We can actually leverage that, and we could skip bases based off just buying into that pre-existing business's reputation. And that's exactly what we did. Is that we found a really awesome business that had been in business since the 80s, actually, since the 1980s, and had hundreds upon hundreds of 5-star reviews in that community. And we felt like, man, this is actually like, it's a business that took care of its customers well. That's what I wanted to say. And so we acquired it, and then now we're in the process of kind of utilizing the name, but then slowly over time transitioning it to our company, you know, and hopefully then just leveraging our pre-existing social proof and all that kind of stuff, you know, the reputation, and now plowing it into, you know, Southern California as well. But really, I have to attribute JJ all the credit, because he's been the person that's been boots on the ground, actually traveling back and forth between Northern California and Southern California to really help expand this. Because, you know, like, it was one thing to acquire it, it's another to actually fulfill all the events and like, you know, build out the infrastructure and so forth. So I'd love to find out, just because I can't answer these questions, what have you learned in the process over the last, I mean, we acquired this company back in June. It's now November, so it's almost been 6 months.
One of the biggest lessons that I learned personally as far as being on the ground, because, you know, we're in Humboldt County, it's not by far not the biggest county in California, and the systems that we use for fulfilling events like being at a wedding it's systemized, so we can teach this thing. So it's not, you know, Ben doing his own thing. It's not me doing my own thing. It's like everybody does this. Pretty much, we teach the same system to everybody. You know, but you know, even though I knew personally that it works really great up here, until you do it in person in another place, I had some fears around that. Like, you know, like, oh, I'm going to a bigger city. Is all this stuff that I've trained on gonna work
down there,
in
right?
this big town? You know, you think it is. You know,
you don't know until you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that was a really satisfying experience, is to go down there and you know, knock on wood, but all of the events that I've worked on, we've knocked them out of the park. Because one, we're from small town, so we have a small town vibe. So we're overly friendly. We want to meet all the vendors. We want to serve everybody to a high level. And I think maybe in the big city, people forget about that a little bit. So when we're coming in, and you know, that's part of our DNA is to do that, then it sets us apart there. And then the other part is we do really good at what we do because we're passionate about it, and we practice both the DJing, the event hosting. That's what we do. Like, we train consistently. So to take all of that training and realize, oh, now I'm not in a barn, say here in Humboldt, I'm on a Navy base in San Diego, but it still works. And at the end of the night, we were still helping people on their biggest special day feel, you know, have a great time. And so that was really fulfilling. And the other part that was fulfilling is by doing that, you're making really good connections with vendors. You're setting yourself apart from everybody else because of, you know, that level of detail that we have honed here in Humboldt. So that's been really satisfying to see.
Yeah. And so what you're referring to is like vendors in San Diego would come up to you and be like, oh my gosh, it's like blah, 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 right? And they compliment you and really shower you with compliments, which then boosts your confidence. You're like, okay, so this is literally the same exact thing. But I'm assuming it's also just the experience of like, oh yeah, like a wedding is a wedding is a wedding, right? An event is an event. It doesn't matter if it's in Northern California or Southern California, right?
Exactly.
It'll be interesting internationally. I think that's where, you know, culturally there might be some differences.
Sure.
But at least here in our large state of California, it's fairly similar, right?
Yeah.
Besides maybe the landscape, right? It's probably
the landscape's totally different. You know, now I went from, I mean, we're close to the ocean here, but it's, you know, what most people, when they think of California, is more down there. Palm trees, sand, the warmer weather. Here, you know, as you can see, you know, it's
more
a lot of
jackets, right?
hoodies,
It's cold.
jackets. It's a lot colder. Again, we're more of a rural area, and so there are small little tweaks, differences. But overall, you know, the way that a wedding goes, a ceremony, a reception, the special dances, all of that is very similar. You know, even some of the music choices in California were very similar, which was a big surprise to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to ask you, for a DJ that might be watching this or listening to this right now, if they're contemplating about, man, I kind of am thinking about expanding my company, what advice would you give them?
Make a strategy so you're not just winging it. So have a strategy, and then you have to have the confidence to just go for it. But, you know, you don't want to just go for it willy-nilly, because then you'll be going here one day and here another day. So make a strategy, like have a plan, you know, and then go for it, and then you can pivot or turn based on the evidence that you receive by going your plan and then realizing, okay, in the real world, I thought I was going to go this direction, but obviously now that I've put this thought out in real life, life is telling me, oh, I got to go this way, you know. But having a plan really lets you at least have a direction, you know.
Yeah.
First. Yeah.
I love what Alex Hormozi said. He says that strategy is prioritizing with limited time and limited resources, right? That's what really strategy is. It's like we only have so much time in the day, right? Or in a year, and then we only have so many resources. Like if you're super wealthy, you still will run out of resources. Like we all have finite resources, and because of that, we have to be very intentional with our focus of what we plan to focus on. Because if we focus on too many things all at once, we tend to not be able to push the ball forward enough on the biggest thing that could actually make a difference in your life or in your team's life as well. You actually ended up coming out to Vegas. So you worked a wedding show down in San Diego with one of our team members, JP. Big shout out to JP, by the way. And then you guys actually ended up meeting me at Wedding MBA in Vegas. How was the experience out there?
It was really great because, again, in Humboldt, we tend to be kind of the big fish in a small pond. And then what's happened since you've left and moved to Henderson outside of Las Vegas, it's a much bigger playing field, you know. And so the Wedding MBA is a meeting of all these wedding vendors, florists, wedding planners, you know, DJs, venues, all of that. And, you know, there's people who do this every single year, and that's part of their thing. But it was my first time to go there. So, one, it was really refreshing to be in a room full of vendors, to just see the level of passion in this community, because I believe whenever I always see a group of vendors that we're kind of like hopeless romantics, because we're still serving this ideal thing of weddings, and we know the reality of weddings is that sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work, and all of that. But the vendor who shows up to serve this thing, that I believe that they kind of believe in this is something of value. And so to be in a room of all these people, for whether they're florists or officiants or wedding planners, of all of these people who really believe in it and are trying to make a business out of it, is, I don't know, it's invigorating to see that. So I would walk by a room and it's all wedding planners, and they're talking about wedding planner stuff, and there's excitement in the room, you know. There's people with their phones taking pictures of the slides, or I'd walk in the room and they're florists talking about the new floral design stuff. And so just to get the excitement of all of these people, one, I like to get the insight of these different areas where, because we can be kind of just in the DJ world. So it's nice to get insight into, like, what is the florist doing? What's going on in their head? What are their problems? What are their frustrations? How are they operating? And so to have a small insight into that is really enlightening. And then also, you know, you were speaking there, so that's like a huge high point for me, because walking into a room, again, we're from a small county that a lot of people might not even know where it is. When I say, you know, Arcata, people think of Arcadia outside of LA. You know? So a lot of people don't know this part of the world. So to see that you're up there, confident, speaking, and intentional, and making a difference, you know, afterwards there's people coming up to you and really interested, intrigued. I've been in the music industry my whole life, and so I don't get that much joy usually whenever I'm watching music of watching the band. I get more joy watching the people. And there was a great moment where you're saying something, and I was watching the people, and I saw the people go from sitting back because they've been in a day full of lectures to sitting up and leaning in, and I was like, oh, he just got him. And that was that kind of feeling of, like, I wanted to be your biggest supporter, jumping up and, like, you know.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, like coming to America. That boy good. That boy good, you know. So yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, I appreciate your support, man, and the kind words, and man, it's definitely been just a joyful ride, man. It's been, I mean, definitely thrilling, you know, to think about thrilling, right? Like when you're on top of a roller coaster, it's about to come down, it's definitely like there's a little bit of fear that happens right before that too, right? I've gotten past that fear the more that I'm speaking on these larger stages. But tell you what, like I'll be fully vulnerable here. I was really nervous the first time because even though I had plenty of time, I mean, all of you watching, most likely you've performed in front of, hundreds of people as well, right? So we're pretty comfortable in a room full of people and speaking on the microphone. But there's something different when you're talking to your peers who are also in the industry, the same exact industry as you that you're speaking on, and they could tear you apart if you don't know your stuff. And so, there's a little bit of imposter syndrome that comes of like, well, I think I know what I'm talking about. I mean, it definitely seems to be working in our company and, the clients that we're helping. But what if I don't? Maybe there is like someone that has a different perspective, an opposing perspective, right? Like one thing that stands out to me of an opposing perspective is Alan Berg talks about, displaying your pricing on your website. We believe in the exact opposite of that. Does that make him wrong? No, it doesn't. Does that make us wrong? No, it doesn't. There's multiple ways to win this game, I think, right? And like, I absolutely respect Alan Berg. I mean, he's clearly one of the best speakers in our industry for a reason, right? Is because he knows what he's talking about, right? But at the same time, can we have differing opinions and strategies of how to pursue success in our industry? Absolutely, right? And so those are the kinds of things of like a person that might be following Alan Berg's methods, right? Or someone similar to that, right? And then if I'm speaking on stage and talking about the exact opposite, that could butt some heads, right? That could create some doubt in there. So that's the part where I was a little nervous about in some of my first speeches. But like now that I've been speaking more on these stages, it's definitely dissipated. Just like you mentioned, because it's people coming up to me afterwards and validating that, like, no, I've actually learned a ton from you, blah, 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 right? Like that I'm not just thinking that I think I know what I'm talking about, but people are actually telling me that they think I know what I'm talking about, right? Which is definitely really nice. And it's just been, I mean, I think you and I both probably shared the same feeling of like being really proud to be on a stage and being in a room of other industry professionals where we could represent our small corner of the world, right? In a really impactful way. So that's been really, really powerful as well. What did you guys do besides that in Vegas?
I've played in Vegas. I've seen Vegas. I was never the biggest Vegas person, mostly probably because I didn't have a bunch of disposable income. It seems like one of these places where if you have a bunch of disposable income that you don't care that it goes away, then you might have a whole bunch of fun. It seems like that's what Vegas is geared to. This was one of the first times where where we kind of just saw sights, saw things, saw the Sphere, looked around, walked around. I walked to parts of town where just people live, which for me that's one of my things. I've never been a tour or sightseeing person. I want to see regular people. I want
locals and stuff.
I want to see locals. I want to see how somebody really lives day-to-day life, especially in a crazy, flashy place like Vegas, where it's all lights and things. I want to see the person in the 3-bedroom house. Like, what's your place look like, And so I got to do that, and that brought me a lot of joy, and it made me more grounded and made me humble because I was, to be honest, I was kind of judging that place as like, oh, Vegas, money, and it made me go, no, there's real people here. They work their butts off just like every other place, and there's love, there's life going on, there's life. There's all of the aspects of life going on, and so I left there feeling, and I feel like JP, the person I brought, felt humbled. I think a lot of people go there to party, and we didn't really go there to party. We went there to support our friend and he's mentor and leader in our little tribe, and so it was nice for me not to leave or not to go there feeling any aftertaste of like, I gotta hide or shame, whatever things that the stories of Vegas have given me.
Because it definitely has a reputation for sure, right? Yeah, absolutely. What did JP think about the whole experience? Like, because you guys had some time that you guys were able to like kind of unwrap, and just like kind of process and talk about or debrief on the trip, right? Like, what were his biggest takeaways from the trip?
Well, so this is one of our team members who happens to be probably one of our most passionate DJs on our team, as far as like he really loves this job. It really feeds him. And he's growing so much in the job. And so for him to go there and witness it on multiple levels, witness that where we are as a company is we're really progressive in the scene. It doesn't matter where we're from or the size of our town. We've been on the forefront of what's happening because of our intention. Again, for him to see that in real life, oh my gosh, we're seeing all of these speeches and all of these people, and our thought process and what we're thinking about and where we're heading is, not to mix words, it's ahead of the curb. So he was able to witness that firsthand, and it blew him away. And then we were able to walk into the conference room where there's all the technologies and everything going on. And again, there's a warm feeling when you're in a room of a bunch of excited vendors who all serve this industry. And I felt like he was fed there. Like, he came back super inspired and super excited and also proud, to watch you speak. And so all of that was good for me to see it through his eyes also, because he was just kind of blown away by the experience.
And I think it's a unique perspective because, JJ referred to me as a leader because, back in the day, I led this company, right? But then JJ's really taking that position now. And then JJ's now the leader of all the team, right? The entire team. JP being one of those team members, right? So it's like, I think that's a really cool full circle moment as well, where JP is now being inspired to the opportunities that you're able to introduce him to, right? Which is really cool. And then at some point, maybe JP ends up doing that to another team member down the line. You never know, right?
Right.
And that's it's talking about that impactful change, but it's like, instead of having like an unhealthy chain of like addiction, divorce, heartbreak, toxicity, blah, 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 right? It's like, can we break that chain and actually create a new generation of links in a person's life that can change a family tree forever, right? And so this is even a way deeper level of impact that we're trying to have on people's lives that we get the pleasure of getting to know, if it's through our events that we work, to the team members that we hire here and get to work with, to the industry professionals that we get to rub shoulders with, throughout these conferences and so forth. Speaking of team though, man, we always have these seasons, right? So we literally just got done with this, busy wedding season. We have a little bit of time off in November, and then we're going straight into corporate holiday holiday party season as well. There's schools, school proms and all that kind of stuff as well coming up. Usually we tend to be in a hiring phase around this time. Is that any different? Are we in a hiring phase or?
Yes, in all intents and purposes, now is time to hire. Basically, the company is fluid, so it's alive, so it expands and contracts. And so over time, some people who join the team realize this is not the life path that they want, or this is not where they see themselves. So it contracts a little bit, and so we have to go back into hiring mode. And then also we have to, this is the opportunity of whenever it's slow, the slower season here is to really train up and sharpen the iron and get all their skills back to the level that we want them to, so that when we get back into busy season, everybody's more than prepared to do a fantastic job, because, the company relies on them doing a great job,
Absolutely, yeah.
And so I tend to kind of overtrain, and because I want people to have the reps and the confidence when they go to these events to do a fantastic job,
I think honestly, your history probably contributes to that, right? So JJ was a professional touring musician for many years, right? And I'm assuming it was all about reps, right? To be able to go on these big stages and be able to play it out, where to that crowd it was the first time that they're seeing you play it, right? But to you, it may have been the thousandth time that you've worked on this routine with a crew or even by yourself, right? Do you feel like some of that band history does trickle into your leadership?
More than I thought would, you know, because I thought I kind of downplayed my musician life as something being separate from the business world or something like that. But there's so many lessons that I learned in that world of, you know, you can't phone it in ever when you're on stage. You know?
Totally.
If you know, and even if you do a great job, you also have the humility of sometimes it still might not work, you know, and those are really painful lessons to learn. But I've learned it on stage where I thought I was doing a fantastic job, and then I was playing in a small club, and all of a sudden somebody threw a bear on me, you know, and covered my instrument with beer,
right?
sticky, So, and so, you know, those, and then you still have to play on.
Show must go on.
The show must go on, you know. And so these are real life lessons that I've learned from playing a ton of shows, and then to impart that stuff to people and then see them in real life. Because, you know, wedding people usually there's, you know, unless it's a dry wedding, there's a lot of alcohol. So those still kind of things might happen. And
hopefully no beer's being thrown at us.
Yeah,
though,
hopefully
right?
not. But we've had issues, you know, and so teaching people how to navigate all of that stuff are skills that I didn't really think translated into anything else besides live music, you know, that I'm learning, like, oh man, learning how to live with people from different backgrounds, which you do when you're traveling and touring all the time. This is what you're doing in a business. Everybody has a different background, different story, different history, different perspective. And so you have to learn to navigate all of that together. And again, do a job that wants, if it's in music, you want the promoter or the crowd to demand that you come back. You know, in this world, you want the couple, the venue, the vendors to demand that you're the person that comes back, you know? So imparting that to your team, imparting that in yourself is something, for me, it's my pride, you know, like I want to be that person that's the best, you know, and I've always been competitive that way. And I want to impart that to the team members so that they are coming in hot, you know, they're coming in like with that kind of head held high, still humble, because again, we're navigating a space where anything can happen, you know, but you know, navigating it with a level of skill and awareness that at the end of the day, people really are comfortable giving you that responsibility to run their wedding.
Yeah, you know? Yeah, absolutely. And I would say that, like, you know, for you, having that history, you're able to then understand that, like, it all comes down to training, to doing the things behind the scenes, the rehearsals, right? In order for the show when it's being played out live, because you don't really get to redo things. Like, oh, sorry, I messed up, let me go reverse, right? You have to kind of play through your mistakes, right? Like the best professionals, I would say, they play off their mistakes in a way where it almost looks intentional, right? Like where the crowd's like, whoa, that was so cool that they did that, and that's actually a mistake that they turned into something beautiful, right? And I mean, it shows, man, because, like, you know, this year, actually 2023, technically, we received, you know, the Best of Our County award in the wedding DJ space. We see that, like, there's just consistently like 5-star reviews coming in from our clients and compliments and so forth. So it seems like, you know, all that training and overtraining, like you're kind of almost beating yourself up, has really just, if anything, has helped the company, right, and helped the team out as well, push forward in a really grand way, which is super awesome. So as we wrap up this episode, man, I'd love for you to speak to that one DJ right now that's listening to us and is looking at us and saying to themselves, well, that's JJ and Ben, like, they're special, and I don't feel special. I don't feel like this is a possibility for me. What kind of advice would you give them when it comes to advancing their career as a DJ or even scaling their DJ business?
Yeah, so for me, I take a lot of inspiration from my mom, who didn't really think that she was special. She's an artist, and she told me from a young age, like, that she didn't have artistic talent. What she did have is drive and passion to work on that stuff day by day by day. Yeah. And that's what has brought her to, you know, after her kids moved out, she went back to school and then ended up going to Pratt, which is a big prestigious college, and then taking architectural design, and now she's all the way over in Indonesia, and she's designed a whole complex that my sister lives in, that they all live in. Like, it's a multi-story complex, and if you can imagine all the intricacies that go with building a place overseas, which is like, you know, there's a language barrier. She doesn't speak Indonesian, you know, and she has to translate all of this stuff to people who are looking at her as a woman and looking at her as like, no, we know the way, and she's telling them, no, you have to do it my way. So with her, it wasn't about talent at all. So if you look at us, if you look at any DJs in the space and say, well, so-and-so is super talented, or so-and-so is way ahead of the curve, I don't feel like I'm special. I feel like I have that drive, I have that passion, and the knowledge that if I want something bad enough, I will go and study it. I will learn it. If I don't have the money to invest in myself, I will go to YouTube or the library, or, you know, any place that I can to suck in that knowledge. And then what happens there is that, you know, I want to escape from being, you know, just filled with the knowledge, because then a lot of people, then just having the knowledge will be enough. They'll just be like, well, yeah, I'm smart. I can win every, you know, I can go to so-and-so and spout all of these things by all these great authors, you know. The difference is then you have to do the work. And the work is, you know, when you have that idea, it's really alluring. You know, I want to be a great DJ. I want to expand my business. I want, you know, to make a difference. That's really alluring. Now, the reality of it is to make that happen, there's a lot of unsexy things that you have to do. There's a lot of times where you have to work where there's not any single person that's going to cheer you on these little things that you do. And so having the steadfastness to go one step in front of the other every single day and make yourself better when nobody's looking, and be courageous when nobody seems to care, that's what's going to separate you. That's what's going to make you special. It's not being special. Being special and having talent has no, it can even be a hindrance, because then you can have a big ego, but like, the world is supposed to give me something. You know? Because
if it came easy to you or something.
Yeah, you know, but if you know that, no, I actually just have to do the work. I just have to go in every single day and do the work, then you can take all that knowledge and apply it into your business, into your daily life. And that's not easy. It's scary sometimes, it's lonely sometimes. Some people will doubt you all the way, so you have to kind of put your head down and trust in yourself that, you know, all of these books that you read, if they can do it, then you can do it. You know, you just have to do the work. And so that's my biggest advice, is that you can do it, but you have to do it.
So don't just talk about it. Don't just take the endorphin hits of like, yeah, this seems like a great idea to pursue, but then not actually do anything, like take the action that will actually drive the results, right? Yeah,
because, you know, if you look on social media, there's a lot of people teaching how to do stuff. And, you know, some of the teachers, they almost rely on the fact that what they're doing is, you know, they're giving you that endorphin hit of the finish line, you know? And some people, they will just take that endorphin hit of getting to the finish line, and that's enough for them. you know. So they'll be like, yeah, I just imagine myself when I've made it as a professional DJ and I've got tons of money and everybody loves me, and that's it. They'll turn on Netflix and watch whatever crap and go to sleep, you know.
Yeah.
The harder part is to take that vision and still realize where you're at, and then do the steps every single day to get closer to that vision. Because guess what? This road is not a straight arrow for a lot of people. It's rocky, it's got a lot of dips. It can be very, very lonely unless you find a crew that of other like-minded people doing the same thing. I would highly suggest you do that so it can be a little less lonely. But you just have to do the work. There's no if, ands, buts. There's no magic pill. There's no magic formula. There's nobody who's gonna give you a handout and just, you know, the chances of you winning the lottery is like 1,000,000,000 to 1. So don't trust in the lottery ticket. Trust in yourself and that you can do the work day to day. The unsexy, hard, sometimes boring, scary work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I couldn't think of a better way to wrap up this podcast. Like, that was such great advice. Because I feel like, you know, when I first got started, I'm assuming it was the same for you as well. Like, it wasn't celebrated to be an entrepreneur. Like, now it's become a sexy thing, right? Like, with social media and everything else. But like, back in the day, it wasn't really that celebrated. And then same with DJing, actually. You know, like, I feel like there's still some questions where, you know, especially like the older generation might be like, oh, when are you going to get a real job, right? Hopefully we can put a huge dent into that. And we're actually relying on you to fulfill your vision of becoming a successful DJ, because like, we need you along with everybody else to help us change the stereotype and the perspective that people have outside of the DJ industry about the DJ industry, right? Everybody thinks like, oh, it's not a legit job, a legit business, a legit industry, right? But like, we're living proof that it absolutely is. Like, I mean, sometimes I look at our business and we're more legit than other industries even. Like, we're running our operation way more legit than other people in other industries. So it's an absolute possibility. Don't look at us as being just special. Look at us as just a reason of like, this can happen to you as well, right? Like, we are living proof that this can actually happen for you. And I'm here, I'm gonna tell you right now, like, I scroll on the toilet just as much as you do. Like, we're equally human in that sense, right? So that's a really weird way to end the podcast episode, by the way. Anyways, thank you, JJ. I really appreciate your time, man, as always. I am so excited. By the way, keep an eye out on this guy, because as you can tell, if you haven't done so, by the way, listen to the last episode, or the last interview that we got to sit down in the same exact studio, by the way, and listen to the difference, right, of like how much not only he has progressed, but the team has progressed, the company has progressed, right? Just think about what's going to happen the next time. So this is not going to be the last time that we're going to feature him on the podcast, and I'm definitely excited and looking forward to what the next updates are going to be, because I think that's going to be really inspirational for the people watching and listening. So thank you so much. If you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode.